Hi,
Hello.
ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's live stream with Joy. We are YouTube gardeners in Zone 6 in New York and then in Zone 10/11 in California. Today we have a topic. We're going to be talking about reasons why or if you should plan and do a fall or winter garden, depending on your area where you grow, or if you should just call it quits after this summer harvest and just wait until the spring. Now, Joy, before we get into that, just give us an update on how you've been doing since the last live stream. What's been going on the past 2 weeks in your garden?
All right. Well, first of all, I am freezing right now.
Oh
the house is saying under 70 degrees, which is like my threshold for comfort. It says 69 point something, but I'm just like, I need a heater. I had my hot chocolate going.
What? Girl, look at I'm drinking iced tea over here. What?
I know. And I see Robin on the chat is saying she's sweating bullets over there in Chicago. I'm like, dang it. I want my summer back. But yeah, as far as the garden, it has been cool here in the Northeast. So I haven't been out much, and I do need to get out because we're gonna get some weather in a couple of days or in the next couple of days. So I need particularly to pull the tomatoes so I don't get the splitting issue going on. Plus, when you get cold and damp, the mold and fungus really kickstart. So this is a time where you can't really lollygag too much, or you will lose a bit more produce than you bargained for. But aside from that, since it's been so dry, really, I've had to water a bit, but I haven't been watering as much as in the beginning of the year. Just pure laziness, pretty much. But also, the garden is starting its wind down, so I want to make that transition, pretty natural, not too much input into it. Yeah, I haven't. Other than that, I'm just picking what I'm eating for dinner that day. I haven't really done any mass harvests, even though I should.
Well, I have you know what? I don't even know where to start. Y'all, just everybody that's here in the live stream, if you're coming for the replay, thank you. We really appreciate you. If you're here for the live stream and you want to come up and say hi, I believe I typed the link in the chat. It's scrolling at the bottom. It will be periodically. But my garden, y'all, my whole 2025 was just not like it was supposed to be. It started late. I encountered many difficulties, including neglect, partially due to an injury that is still lingering, y'all. Partially due to laziness, burnout, whatever the reason is, my 2025 garden has not flourished as it has in previous years. I have still gotten produce. I have still gotten harvest. I have still gotten crop. I've still add the bell peppers to my red beans, but it's definitely not like it just like it should. I have focused a lot of time this year, y'all, on fruit trees, blueberry bushes, and dragon fruit. I just spent the last 2 days, so that would be Saturday and Sunday, so this weekend, repotting fruit trees. All of that to say, the topic is, do a fall or winter garden or rest until spring. Y'all, I'm on a rest until spring. But I got a surprise. That may be a reason for me to change my mind, even though I don't want to. That's not the plan. But we're gonna talk about, moving forward with a fall or winter garden. Like I said, depending on where you live, kind of like a few reasons why you should. And then on the flip side of that, a few reasons why you should just rest, just hang it up for 2025 and just prepare for 2026. So Joy, Robin says hi, thank you so much. Oh, she says she'll join after she eat her soup. But Robin, I thought you just said you were sweating bricks. You sweating bricks and you eating hot soup?
Right?
Look, but tell us what kind of soup it is. Did you make it or did you, tell us about that soup because we want to know. But Joy, you want to what do you want to start with? Reasons to do a fall garden or reasons to rest? Which one you want to do first?
I'd rather do the rest, but I know you like that
Okay.
topic, so
Well,
I'll do the
no.
the fall garden.
We can completely start with the rest. I mean, because we both gonna talk about it. We can completely start, with the rest, and I'm gonna just leave it to you to start us off.
No, no, we'll do the hard stuff first. Let's get to it. All right, 5 reasons to plant a fall garden, and I'll just bullet point what Healy has sprung on me. No, I was kidding.
No.
All right, number 1, extend harvest and your wallet by having to just shop in your own backyard or your basement or your cellar, wherever you store your stuff. Hold on, we'll get back to these. Number 2, there'll be less weeds, pests, diseases. Number 3, better flavor, because some of us who are blessed with the chill, that the starches, I don't know what happens, but they make fruits sweeter, or vegetables.
Mhm.
The cold weather, certain vegetables thrive in the cold weather, particularly your brassicas and a lot of your herbs even. And then the cooler weather is easier to work around for sure. All right, let's go back to the first one. Extend harvest and your wallet. How have you done with even harvesting or saving?
Okay, so this is the thing. All right. So I am basically extending my spring and summer gardens into the fall without planting anything new. So I still have tomatoes, I still have peppers. My squash and zucchini, y'all, that did not make it. I do have a few herbs. I have some edible flowers. I'm not going to eat them, but I do have them. But I still have a few things growing in the garden, and instead of planting new, even though of course I like brassicas and my leafy greens and all that kind of stuff, at the second, I am more in just extending my spring and summer gardens into the fall, harvesting what I can, and then just letting it go. But it does save me money because like I said, I cook red beans and rice, and I said, man, I don't have any bell pepper in the refrigerator. Y'all, what was I thinking with bell pepper out the wazoo in the
Nice.
backyard? So I just went outside. I picked a good size. I had grocery store size bell peppers too, y'all. So I
Awesome.
had some small ones too, but I had some grocery store size peppers. I picked about 2 or 3 of them, sliced and diced them, added them to my red beans. Yo, psh, saved me some money. It saved me the time to have to, get dressed to go outside.
Right.
The money of buying the peppers, which I don't know how they pricing them and selling them in your area, Joy, but here I remember when they used to be 3 for $1, 4 for $1, so many quantity for $1. Not anymore. Now it's $1.79 a pound, 209 a pound. So they're selling them by the pound. And to me, I'm getting less bell pepper for the money I spend. So going outside, and just grabbing a couple and using them versus getting up, getting dressed, driving in traffic, whatever, going to the store, being mad because I gotta pay the high prices,
Yep.
and then coming back, extend my harvest and my wallet. I like it.
Speaking of like harvesting from your garden, I made a tabbouleh. This is it's a Greek salad, and there's different
Mm,
ways to do it, but couscous is the main wheat, I guess, that you
yeah.
use. And then I make mine with the cherry tomatoes, which I have an abundance of. I had
Hmm.
the last cucumber come up in the garden, so I was like, oh, that's what spurred me to do it. It's like the last cucumber. What am I going to do with it? I'm like, tabbouleh, I haven't had that in a while. So I had the last cucumber, and then I had in my garden the parsley, the mint. I think that's it, and the garlic, obviously.
Yeah.
So I just had to pick up I already had the couscous, so I had to get the lemon juice, and what else was there? I guess olive oil if you don't already have it. But oh my god, so good. It was so nice to have like a lot of the components, in that dish come out of my garden. That felt good.
Now look, Robin said she made it too. Now look at that. Oh, y'all in each other recipe. Y'all, swapping kitchens and stuff like that. I like it
I
though. I
wish.
like it. But that is definitely, one of the reasons to plant a fall garden, to extend the harvest. So maybe you harvested everything that you got from the spring, you harvested everything you got from the summer, but you still have time left. If you have the resources already, you have the seeds, your soil is already there, you have some amendments and stuff and to refresh the soil. It's not like you're going out to spend more money to plant your fall garden. You have everything you need. You just go ahead and do it. So now this second point though, I like this, and this is definitely a good reason to plant a fall garden. You're dealing with less weeds, you're dealing with less pests, and you're dealing with less disease pressure. Now notice I said less. I didn't say no, I said less.
Right.
And we're gonna invite Robin because she's here. We're gonna invite her to share with us about this point too. So less weeds, less pests, less disease pressure as a reason to plant a fall garden. How you doing, Robin?
Hi, Robin.
Oh, see, I am sweaty.
You're right. But you're eating hot soup.
It's what was made.
Hey, we'll take it. Oh wait, I wanna put Robin.
There
Yeah,
you
I wanna
go.
put Robin here. Okay. So what do you think about the so less weeds, less pest pressure, less disease, and emphasis on less and not none or no as far
So,
as a fall garden?
so there's definitely less because my weed pressure was in the spring with the trees, the cottonwoods and the maples.
Mm.
That's what dropped all the weed seeds into the garden, and that's all well done. I don't have much. I have a little hula hoe, one of those little stirrup hoes, and I have a short one and a long one, but the short one is great in the raised beds to just skim the surface and keep the weeds down, so that's not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And the other part of your question, Healy, was pests.
Yeah, so as a reason to do a fall garden, we're saying that you're dealing with less weeds, less pests, and less disease pressure going into the fall as opposed to, going into the spring and the summer. So we're doing reasons why you would do a fall garden. But you can agree or disagree. Maybe in your area, maybe you have more and not less.
So I'd have to say one positive would be the squash vine borer. So if you get your summer squashes, zucchini started in August and take them into the fall, you're very unlikely to have a squash vine borer attack. The squash bugs have, slowed way down. I probably haven't found a cluster now for 2 weeks.
Oh, that's good.
And the hornworms have slowed down as well. I've only found one in the last couple of weeks. So yeah, the pressure is lower, but overall this year, oh my gosh, I have had more things pest-wise happen than any other year.
I agree. And you're in Chicagoland. I'm in California. Joy is in New York. I think the pests made their rounds this year.
Yeah.
For me, though, in my area, it seemed like the whole 2025 garden was pushed to the right for me. So the season started like it warmed up later. The season started later. I started later. The pests came later. Um, but even so, around this time, I see a lot less. Like you said, ever since the tomato hornworms ate up like most of the tomatoes on my patio, the plants I had on my patio. Maybe they full, maybe they already turned into the moths and everything. So, but I don't see them. I saw one fig beetle yesterday. Y'all know I ran inside. But I saw one, but again, so this is late though. This is late for me to see that bug, normally by mid-September, they're gone. But he was out there yesterday too, hovering around my banana trees. But overall, I have seen less. Hi, Nikki, how you doing?
Thank you.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, Joy, what do you think as far as the less weeds and the pest and the disease? And Robin, let us know if you wanna stick around a little bit for our other points, or if you want to go backstage and then come up later. It's up to you. We love having you.
Well, I'm good. Today's a good day.
All right,
Oh,
awesome.
oh
The
well,
81
fine.
degrees has chased me
Yeah.
inside.
All right.
Yeah. Well, stick with us. So, Joy, what you thinking about that?
Yes, I saw a hornworm yesterday, and it was covered with the wasp parasite, or whatever you call it, the
Oh,
larva.
well, that's
It
good.
freaked me the heck out. I was like, ah!
Mhm.
But I knew what it was. But yeah, so it is the season where certain cycles of things are going towards the end, or other things are beginning. The larvas are, feeding off of that caterpillar and starting their life cycle. But that's a welcome sight. As far as diseases, it could go either way here, because, like I said, the cooling down and the dampness coming in
Mhm.
could become more of a fungal pressure, more like mildew stuff, moldy stuff. So if I did have a bigger fall garden, I would be like looking into having to maybe spray for those antifungal issues, because there's no way you can like keep it dry. Can't put a fan out there.
Mhm. And you know what? Speaking of that, it's actually drizzling. It's been overcast.
Mhm.
Saturday, Sunday, today, Monday. It's been overcast, and it's actually, when I tell you, I'm talking about, I can count the drops. But we have had drizzles over the weekend, and I can feel the humidity in the air. For me, I don't really have anything growing out there that I don't mind, if it succumbed. If it fell prey to, any kind of disease or pest or weed or whatever, y'all, because I'm telling you, I am, up until Tuesday, I was done. I had zero intentions on planting a fall garden, but I'm gonna show you when we get down to like number 4. I'm gonna show you why I might have to do it. I might have to do it.
Joy, did you find less powdery mildew this year than other years?
Quite the opposite. I'm finding it more.
Really?
I don't know why, because it's been so dry. I'm like, where are you getting all the moisture? It's so bizarre.
I usually have it really, really bad. I had it, but not really, really bad. So there's plus.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about number 3. And Nikki, please, if you want to come up, I know you eating lunch. Oh, now you got to tell us what you eating. Now, Robin already told us about her soup. You eating lunch. You have to tell us what you eating. But if you want to come up and say hi, we definitely appreciate having you. But I don't want to interrupt your lunch. I'm from the South. We don't mess with people while they're eating. But just think about it. And speaking of that, so point 3 is better flavor. So cooler temps make some greens and root vegetables sweeter. What you say about that, Robin?
Oh, definitely. The beets definitely get sweeter. The carrots get sweeter. Turnips, I don't have any in this year though. Yeah, in particular, they definitely have a sweeter flavor. Oh, kale too. Kale sweetens up really.
And I
I'm
know that's
hoping
what turns some people off from kale, it could be, because it can be a little sharp, or just it can nip the taste buds. But Joy, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm hoping my turnip comes in at the right time. Like, I planted it out in end of August. I don't remember how long it takes to mature, but I'm hoping it comes in so that I will get to reap the benefit of that fresh flavor, sweeter. And then carrots, I've left it in the ground. I'm hoping like I haven't overdone it so that even though it's sweeter, it's inedible by the time I get to it in the fall. So this is like the most productive I've ever had with carrots. So this is like an experimental year as to whether I planned it too early or too late, or I need to plant a second succession like later on in the summer. Oh, everything is. It's still, even though like 5 years, no years is enough to learn everything there is about, what you're growing. There's always something.
What variety did you find carrot wise to be your most successful?
I think the Chanteray or Scarlet Nantes? Yeah.
Okay.
I think those are two different varieties. Yeah.
I was going to say that leads us right into point number 4, is that many cool weather vegetables and herbs thrive in the fall. And then we have all of these examples of the fall and the cool weather crops, a lot of herbs, a lot of root vegetables, and a lot of leafy greens. So Joy, what do you have? So we just say that you have a fall garden. It sounds like it. So what do you have right now planted? And then Robin, I'm going to ask you the same question. So
okay.
So just so you know, Robin, she had like a couple of things listed here. I do have dill. I planted that also. I seeded it out in, I believe, August, and they made it. At the moment, they're shaded out because of all the beans that were there and the peppers. But as I'm going to be pulling those plants out, they'll get more of what sun is left, and they should, perk back up. So I have dill. Cilantro I seeded, but I was not successful in getting those to germ. Parsley I still have. Parsley made it through the summer heat beautifully, and it's the curly one, not the flat one. So I don't know if curly is a lot more successful with the heat than the flat, but my parsley is beautiful. Chives I also have. I'm so happy. I'm so proud of myself. I have chives. The sage is a powerhouse. You'll have sage forever. Oregano I also have. A lot of it went to flower, but I do have an indoor pot of oregano. That is the one I mainly use because I forget about the one outside. Arugula, I have like a little pot of it. It's enough for a meal. That's about it. I wish it didn't like occur to me to plant more arugula for some reason. But I just got a new green stalk, so next year I'm gonna be up on my arugula.
Did you get one of the select colors? One of the new colors?
Oh no,
because they came out with like at least three new colors this year.
I like plain and boring, and like morph into the background. I don't like flashy colors.
So did you do leafy greens?
I just lettuce. I was supposed to do the Asian greens, the bok choy, pak choy. I might still do that. I think I still have enough time for those. I'm letting my kales and Swiss chard just keep going because they will keep going for a while. If I need to, if we have an early frost, I will try to cover them up with a blanket or a frost blanket. You have garlic on your list. Definitely on tap for next month is planting out garlic. Onions I've left them in the ground, and I just pull them as I need them because we haven't had that rain, so I haven't had to worry about rotting and everything. So they've been just great, and I don't have that much anyway. And then carrots, radishes, beets, and parsnips. I have a couple of those, and I'm gonna pull them as the season is winding down, and consume them as needed.
Okay. Well, Robin, I said I was going to ask you the same thing because I'm just going to say that you also have a fall garden because it sounds like it from the conversation so far. So what are you growing right now?
So specifically grown for fall was fennel. So I've got the fennel. You did it too?
Yeah.
And I did a third succession of carrots. I still have some beets from spring. When you multi-sow and take out, the bigger ones, the little ones just keep coming. Lettuce. I sucked at lettuce this year. I couldn't, in the heat, I could not get it to germinate. I have one germinated. But my husband brought home some hydroponic lettuce that had the little roots attached to it from the grocery store. I'm like, I'm gonna put those in work. So back to the grocery store, we went and got another one. Ate it all down to the the couple of leaves in the center, and it's worked beautifully.
Yeah.
And then, I put kohlrabi in specifically for the fall. Other than that, I mean, I've got like a full garden still thriving because we did, I think you did too, Joy. We had that weird 2 weeks of cold at the end of August, beginning of
Oh,
September.
wow.
Mhm.
I mean, jacket, must
Oh, wow.
cold,
Oh, no.
you know, at nights we're in the 40s. So I covered, like the tomatoes and peppers that I wanted to keep for sure, because I
Mhm.
couldn't cover everything. But those made it, and everything else made it through those dips in temp. And then we're back in the 80s.
It's crazy.
Wow. Well, I'm just gonna bring up here because Nikki said, she said, yesterday I started some snap peas and 2 varieties of cabbages. I already have collard greens, bok choy, kale, spinach, carrots, lettuces, pak choy, beets, cilantro, etc. And then she says, I still have tomato and pepper plants in my garden and it will stay there as long as they're still producing. Now that, okay, now I'm gonna tell y'all know how I am. If it has one cell of chlorophyll, I'm trying I'm trying to keep it around, but
Yeah.
there you have to be able to call it for, I think, for the gardener's sanity and just for the health of the plant, the endurance of the soil, keeping stuff when it's just bit like the entire plant is brown. But you have like one tomato that's, if you just give it a little bit more time. You know what they yo, that's me. I'm so I have things I'm looking, right now, and I'm literally looking at a tomato where the entire thing is brown, shriveled up, the leaves, the branches, everything. I have one tomato, and I promise y'all, I'm gonna go get it right after this live
Right now.
stream because now I done told on myself. But do you find that when you decide to plant a fall garden, do you feel pressure or just something in you says, okay, I need to pull up some of these spring and summer plants, either because you need space or because you said, okay, I've harvested, 10,000 whatever, and that's enough, even though the plant still looks healthy? Do you transition from a spring and summer garden into the fall by pulling up those early crops, or do you leave them and then still plant new crops? I'm a put it to you, Joy, first, and
All
then
right.
Robin, I'm gonna ask you.
Okay.
Yeah, generally I'm definitely it's still green. I'm gonna leave it there, But I feel like underneath the soil there's life living off of that. So I feel like it's okay. And if I'm not,
Hmm.
going to be using it for anything in the near future, it's covering the soil, which is important. Mother Nature wants to be covered, as they say. So I do, it's its own mulch. Like
Hmm.
especially like when we get snow and everything, it's important to have ground cover because it gives you the air pockets that the ground needs. And unfortunately, like mice and voles and stuff, they like
Hmm.
that to breathe in and everything. But this was one year where I had my broccoli that succumbed to some kind of disease, and it wasn't looking good. So that was a case. There was still plenty of green on it. I could have rescued it. I could have trimmed off all the dying and diseased leaves or something. I might have,
Hmm.
kept it going. But I did make that call and took out all the broccolis to make room for other things. So I do. It depends. It really depends on the situation, the area you're working in. So
Hmm.
I've done both.
Okay, Robin, what about you?
Well, since I garden in a polyculture, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, there's always something finishing and there's always a little pocket open so that you can do it.
Mhm.
When I do a garden plan at the beginning of the year, I do have some specific plans. Okay. When the garlic finishes, this is going to go in. When the onions finish, this is going to go in. So there
Mhm.
is some planning, but you always want to tuck in something else along the way.
Right.
Mhm.
But I did 21 varieties of tomatoes this year, and
Wow.
I learned a lesson. I have spent
Mhm.
so much time in the kitchen, so much time canning.
Mhm.
That's a good problem.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's a problem. You get tired of it. You
Right.
really do.
Mm-hmm. I have so Nikki says, I don't feel the need to rip out plants that are still healthy and producing. The end goal is to eat.
Mhm.
And I could say that that's why I leave my plants in, until the last cell of chlorophyll. But no, y'all, the reason why I leave them in is because I just, if it's green, if there's any hope or any chance, it doesn't even have to have produce on the plant.
Right.
See, so I know I take it way too far. At some point, I like I said, for my own sanity and just for the plant, the polo thing, the whole thing is brown. But with one half of one green leaf, I need to pull it up, y'all. I'm gonna do better. Every year, I think I get a little bit better. But I need to, yeah, I need to, I do, I need to do better. And then point 5, is just, it says, so this is another reason to plant a fall garden. Better weather to work in the garden. So it's generally cooler temps, but not too cold. Less humidity, except for those rainy patches. But you get to spend longer times in the garden in comfort, and you get more done than as compared to, it's 90 degrees outside, it's 100% humidity. What can I do in 30 minutes, and then I got to come inside for an hour, or I stay outside for an hour, and then I'm just exhausted, I'm drenched. It's not, uh I don't know, not the most pleasant, especially in the heat of the summer. But when you're coming into the fall, you can spend more time outside because the weather is, it's better. It's better. Robin, do you experience that in your area?
Oh, this year was weird. We had such high heat and for such long periods of time. It was funny. It was end of August before we pulled the cushions out to actually sit and enjoy the patio. Because we would go out, we would do the work, and then we'd come into the air conditioner, and then we would maybe come back out again 5, 6 o'clock at night after the sun was nice and low, and do a little bit more outside. But we never enjoyed the out of doors this year. That's sad.
Yeah.
What do you think, Joy?
I had, let's see. I do feel that definitely the nicer temperatures is nice. But at the same time, because we're getting the sun, less sunlight earlier, we're losing the sunlight earlier, because that's usually when I like to be out there, is during that after dinner time, because everything's already settled in the house, and then I can be at peace before I go to bed. But now that the sun is setting so early, I don't have that anymore. So I don't get that much time to enjoy the fall garden, in the time frame that I would like to enjoy it. I have to really reset my schedule and be like, all right, you have to do it during the day, which luckily enough I can do. But it's not the same, because you got all these construction workers outside, the people mowing lawns. There's so much going on out there that is taking away the peace of the garden in the middle of the day. So,
Do you find you've got such a wooded lot that it's hard with the bugs to garden now in the evening?
Yes and no. Because we haven't had the rain, we've had so much drought that it hasn't been as buggy as other years.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, there's still other things.
Yeah. We've got some kind of a bug that bites. It's a little green. You can hardly see it. I have no idea what it is, but when it bites, it hurts.
Oh,
now,
wow.
it doesn't leave a welt like a mosquito or something will, but it's been there.
The no-see-ums,
look that up.
I've had problems with when I'm working in with the chickens. I guess since the soil is more sandy there, the no-see-ums attack for sure during the dusky time, and it's so itchy. And they're all over, they get down your back and everything. It's awful.
Oh,
Oh my God. Well, if you're here for the live stream, if you're just tuning in, or if you've been here for the whole thing, we appreciate you either way. And of course, if you're coming back for the replay, thank you. So today we are talking about reasons to plant a fall/winter garden, or reasons to just call it quits and just be ready for 2026. Now, I want to go back to the point four, which was, the many cool vegetables and, everything that you can grow in fall. And if you remember at the top of the live stream, I said, you know what, I was adamant, no fall garden, just whatever is in there now, I was just going to let it ride out until it stopped growing, which in my case is not going to stop growing just because of Southern California 10B 11A is literally it's not going to stop growing. So at some point I have to pull it. But I had no intentions on doing a fall garden. I was just going to let stuff ride until it died or until I pulled it. And then y'all look, this is my show and tell for today. I was gifted, if
Whoa,
you can see
nice.
this, these are two Romanesco cauliflower
Oh,
plants. And I mean, I have to grow them, y'all. I mean, don't I have to grow them? I mean,
Absolutely.
those look beautiful.
Gorgeous.
I have to grow them. Would I be the person to just plant just these two things in my whole garden, y'all? Would I be that person to just plant two things? Something Robin brought up about your husband going to the store and you buying plants from the store. We just gonna call them starts, okay? We just gonna say we seedling starts, not seeds, right?
Right.
If you are if you're short on time, but you still want to do a fall gardening, don't feel like you have to start from seed. Now we know you get more variety, from seeds. But if you're short on time, but you're like, hey, I want to get that lettuce in. I want to try those kale. Maybe this is my year for turnip or whatever. Stores and nurseries, big box stores and nurseries are still selling. I mean, you got to catch them depending on the area where you are. It may or may not be too late, but there's still some plants, some seedlings, some starts, on sale. And at this point, they should really be on sale. And it's a way for you to, get that jump start on your fall garden, especially if you're short on time. I've read a lot of articles. They say, hey, you should count backwards 8 to 12 weeks. Some people say as little as 6 weeks before your first frost or before your hard frost. So first frost and hard frost are two different things. Depending on the plant that you're growing, their tolerance for cool weather and frost, it's a lot of different things to consider. But if you want to do a fall garden and you don't want to start from seeds, go to your local nurseries, go to the big box stores. I know even online you can purchase, it's like garlic and onions, but I'm thinking about more, plants. Even some of that you can do online, but that would be another reason to plan a fall garden because it's still not too late. You just have to take all of your, area wherever you are, what you're doing, what you want to grow into consideration. So this was the first part. So why we want to plant a fall garden. We got that. We talked about extending the harvest, saving money, less weeds and pests and disease pressure, better flavor because of the cooler temps bringing out the sweetness. We talked about the different herbs and the vegetables and even flowers. And we talked about how it is better to work in a garden because of the better weather. Cooler temps, not so hot, not so humid, not so sticky, depending again on where you are. But now we're gonna talk about reasons to just hang it up. Just take that garden, put it on a hanger, and just put it in a closet and just prepare for 2026. But before we go through like the little points that we have, Robin, what would be some reasons that you would say, you know what, hey, the spring and the summer, it was good. I'm waiting till 2026.
I had one year where I was wiped out. by the cabbage white butterfly. I could not stay ahead of it. All the years before that, I had been able to handpick and stay ahead. I would put regular flour on the plants, and then they eat it and they blow up, and you can find them and pick them off. I just couldn't stay ahead of it, so I lost everything because it was all brassicas, and then they were also eating anything kind of marginal like arugula and the radish tops. Maybe they are in the brassica family, but I just hung it up because I was wiped out. Put it to bed, put your compost on, and plan for next year. Think about how you're going to net these things so you can grow them again. And because discouragement, there we go. That was my motivation to not grow the rest through the full season of the rest of the fall. I was discouraged.
Yeah. And I definitely I understand that. Joy, you want to go ahead and pick us up with some of these reasons to just just give it a break. Sometimes you just have to call it.
Right. So one would be reap spring and summer harvests. Enjoy the fruits of your labor. Let strong plants continue to grow into the fall without planting new ones. Number 2, take time to clean up slowly. Pull up weeds and plants. Groom and amend soil. Reorganize your growing spaces. Next, plan for next spring. Take advantage of seed sales. Review your notes. Consider what to plant after the new year. And like Robin mentioned, burn out, rest yourself so that you can be there for your garden in the future. So what I've done, it's part of the last conversation, and this is that I did start to feel guilty because of all you Californians have been like, oh, I'm going to plant this now and what to plant in September, what to plant in October. I'm like, oh, come on. So I'm like, all right, I'll put something in. So I did throw more seeds of, in particular, spinach, more carrots, and Swiss chard, because I do love Swiss chard. So I did throw seeds in, and will they come up now? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that they'll make it through the winter and have a better success of coming up in the spring. So I've skipped ahead and like planned for success in spring, hoping for the best in the fall. So
I did put some spinach in also, and it was loving those 2 weeks when it got so cold to get started again. But now it's mad. Right. It is hating this 80-degree weather.
Yeah.
There's, sometimes you just have to play a little. I had terrible trouble having consistent peas in the fall come to fruition. Until I learned that you can eat the shoots.
Oh, yeah.
So who cares if you get the fruit or not? You got these gorgeous fruits or shoots to add to your salad. I didn't know they were edible.
You know what? That's true. And then just going back to this comment that Nikki made earlier, she said, yesterday I started some snap peas. So, she's getting in the peas there now. If they grow, full to harvest, that's wonderful. But if they don't, like you said, Robin, you can eat the shoots. We often talk about microgreens where you're growing brassicas and stuff. You're growing things, just past sprouting, just past just past sprouting, and you can still eat that. So even if I know them hummingbirds is not interrupting my live stream. I mean, running their mouth. Y'all, can you be quiet, please? I just have 15 minutes to go. But we can take advantage even in the later season to kind of grow mini crops or half crops or whatever. But y'all, I don't want to talk about why we will. I want to talk about why we won't. But yeah, enjoying what you already have. So if you've been growing spring, summer, you're into the fall, you've already probably done a couple of harvests already. What about taking that last harvest pulling everything in, just enjoying it, making the meals like Robin, Nikki said, even you, Joy, hey, I use these herbs and these vegetables, this, to cook so and so meal at home, and just enjoy that. Just be like, yeah, I did that. This is out of my garden. I didn't have to pay, $2.49 a pound for bell peppers, and I got two small bell peppers. Maybe they put little weights on the inside to make them, to make them heavier. I don't know, but yeah, taking the time to just, kind of enjoy the fruits of your labor. That's one reason to rest in the fall and just pick it up next spring. Now, another reason is that you can take this time after your last harvest in the fall, you can start cleaning up now. There was at least one season, and I wasn't in California. I was living somewhere where it was cooler weather. And I pulled in the last, harvest in September. And for some reason, I just thought I was gonna do all the cleaning up. Like magically, I must have thought like the day before spring, I was gonna literally clean up the whole garden space and then just be ready to work the first day of spring. It didn't work out like that, y'all. I don't know why it didn't work out. But if you don't plan a fall garden, you can take that time even before your first frost to start cleaning up, to start, pulling out the weeds, pulling up the plants, tilling and amending the soil. You can do some prep work during this time now instead of waiting until right before spring where you feel even more pressure. Hey, I got to get this stuff done now. March 1st, so and so, March 15th, so and so, April 1st, so and so. Well, if you haven't done any of the cleanup, now you at February 28th or 29th, depending on the year, and you out there just trying to, maybe still in the snow, but you're trying to do
Right.
all the cleanup, you're rushing, and it's a little bit more pressure where you could take your time and kind of, clean up slowly over those fall into the winter, and then you would be, ready for the spring with a little bit less pressure. So Joy, what does that look like for you, cleaning up and getting ready for the next spring?
Yeah, definitely. I love this time because like I have chickens, so I have a chicken run that I clean up in the fall also. So I have a lot of chicken bedding. Now I also did it in the spring. So that stuff in the spring has been sitting. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot about it. I'm going to use that's been sitting for at least 6 months. And I'm going to use that to cover the soil now. And all that good fertility, along with the snow on top with a lot of nitrogen. It's just going to be such a boost for the soil come spring. And then we have falling leaves, which I know you don't have as much of. Sorry. I'll send you some.
Just from the cherry tree, just from the cherry tree.
Yeah. So I like go around, I collect people's bags of, the big, what do you call them? Construction bags of leaves. And I'm going to do better and try to chop them up. Like you have that sucking machine that chops them up a little bit finer than just leaving them all big, because like maple leaves and oak leaves tend to be really big and they mat down if you let them just be wet. So I'm going to crunch them up and put them in my compost piles, add my chicken manure too, and let that sit for the next round of 6 months. And as far as that's concerned, I'm going to be all set for, really good soil. It's also, yeah, and then there's like certain other plants, debris that may be too woody. So I have like a different compost for that. That's like the super slow compost where it just sits there for years until I might need it, but I won't, because I have all these other things. But just in case, it is there. And like that's where I would put like more diseased or more like problematic things. I forget to like burn things or just throw them out. I don't usually throw out plants, so I just tend to put it somewhere else that I'm typically not going to touch, and hopefully it'll work itself out. I'm not very good at like cleaning up my tools or stuff like that. I put them away, but I'm not like sharpening them or oiling them. I should, but I'm not. It's just the way it is. But that's one thing you could also be doing instead of the garden, is cleaning up the tools for the next season.
And Robin, what is your what does your cleanup look like? So if you weren't doing a fall garden and you were taking this time instead to like prepare for the spring, what does that look like for you? And then if you could just tell us, because I don't have a banner for you, but tell us about your YouTube channel and where people can find you if they want to connect with you on social media.
Sure. If you want to connect with me on social media, I am Robin Gardens on Instagram and on YouTube.
Okay.
And I live in the Chicago area. I'm Zone 5B. So, fall, I always have a full stop by the first week of November.
Mhm.
And everything comes out. By then, though, I've usually put the garlic in somewhere. And I put down compost, and I get an organic leaf mold compost delivered about 4 yards. In the last couple of years, I've been hiring the young guy next to us that has a landscaping business to help spread it, because we're just getting up there, and that's pretty hard work. But
Mhm.
last year, I put alfalfa pellets underneath the compost.
Yes.
Yeah, I have heard about that.
Game changer. Do it. It,
Mhm.
it broke down over winter, and I had a fabulous garden this year in spite of all the problems. So that's my full stop, is to, put that um, compost on.
Mhm.
It works out to be about 3 or 4 inches. And the alfalfa pellets, I will continue to do those. Other than that, the beds, like the flower beds and so forth, I take the seeds because I collect them for the Door County Seed Library, and they give those away. But I kind of leave that as the area for the wildlife. They've got a place to go live in the stems of, my flowers and stuff, because, the veg garden and the fruit does get completely cleaned up. But the flower gardens is where the animals can
Yes.
winter over. But, once I started doing that, and I'd say I've probably been doing that for about 8 years now,
Mhm.
the big fall, um, my spring is so much easier, so much easier.
Mhm.
Um, so, I mean, there's arguments. People say, oh, the nutrients are going to, wash through over winter. Well, guess what? I personally have never had that happen. So,
I still think though, if you take some time, even if you kind of extend like halfway into the fall or whatever, any prep work that you can do before your frost or freeze dates or whatever, anything that you can do to help prepare the garden during that time will make it so much easier in spring. Because I feel like when spring comes around, it's a mad dash. You're sowing seeds, hey, I want to start this. I'm using my greenhouse, or I'm in my basement. I have my area set. I'm using my dining room table, y'all, which I'm looking at my dining room table. It saw one season of doing gardening things inside, and that was the last season. Because I promise you, of course I'm exaggerating for the effects, but when the gnats are such that it looked
Oh
like
no.
it's cloudy outside, because that's yeah, so no more for that. But you know what? That goes into, kind of the next point, planning for next spring. And I was talking about seeds. So this is also a time during this fall season to take advantage of seed sales and other sales. So I know my local grocery store, like Grocery Outlet, and it actually starts sometime past 4th of July, but during the fall season, all of their garden tools, um like the 6 foot stakes, like their garden things go on sale. Most of the seed companies, their seeds go on sale. So it's a way to plan for the next spring, like during this fall time, instead of, starting new plants and doing a whole fall garden. planning for spring by taking advantage of some of these sales, because I'm telling you, I think just yesterday, y'all, and I wanted to post this and I didn't, because it didn't seem right. But Luke did a live stream last night for MI Gardner,
Mhm.
and he did a blitz sale on soft neck garlic, because they were completely sold out of the hard neck. And he said for whatever reason, like when the hard neck sells out, people don't want to buy the soft neck. So he did like a blitz sale, but it was only during the time of the live stream, or like until midnight East Eastern time
Yeah.
or whatever. So I have never purchased garlic online. I did last night. So we'll see. We'll see how that works. But taking advantage of the seed sales, reviewing your notes. I don't know, Robin, do you have like a notebook or notes, or maybe a spreadsheet or something? Do you take notes, for your garden that you can review on, in this kind of fall time to help prepare for spring?
So I just have a journal of what I planted, and then I
Mm-hmm.
go back into that and when I planted it, and then I'll go back into that and say worked, didn't work, consider 2 weeks earlier, 2 weeks later. So when I go back and look at it, it is nothing fancy. It's just a spiral binder.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been doing this for decades, so
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I
I
mean,
understand.
kind
Mm-hmm.
of, I kind of know
Mhm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
what's going to work and what isn't.
Yeah.
Um,
Joy, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. So everyday life came back in and said she did the yellow pear, Rutgers, beefsteak, San Marzano, Roma, Sweet 100, and tiny spoon. Mmm. I've
You
done
know
the
what? Yeah, I
yellow.
was gonna say I tried the tiny spoon, and it must have been so tiny. Maybe I might have missed them. Maybe maybe I missed them, or maybe the hornworms ate them. But I did. I tried one tiny spoon, but like I said, that was all. Those are some interesting varieties, though. I like that.
I do need some suggestions for a green stalk tomato. I tried the tomato tumbler. It was an F1.
Hmm.
And it was fine. It was early, whatever. But I mean, it was like a grocery store tomato as far as flavor goes. So
Yeah.
I would like a good suggestion for something different to try.
They have so
Now you,
many, like,
I
all of
was
a
about to
sudden.
say Joy. Yeah, Joy can, because she did. I know you saw her video, where she did all of those different varieties of tomatoes. So Joy, for a green stalk, which one of those tomatoes that you grew you think would be good for a green stalk?
I don't think any of the ones I grew, because even the so-called tiny Tim is gigantic. Like, it just like blah all over the place,
Uh-huh.
and
Hmm.
it doesn't last very long. But they're doing a lot of work on these like micro dwarfs now that I'm seeing. And one of our wonderful people, You Grow Row, she always does like a giveaway on these
Hmm.
micros, and I've been waiting to win something because I really want to try them out, because there's so many varieties, and I think they would do really well in the green stalks. And I think a lot of it maybe is, yeah, I can understand why the flavor won't be there, but I think inputting the amount of the fertility, the manure type fertility would definitely
Hmm.
help, like, boost the flavor, and getting them like a lot of sunlight.
So
Yeah.
for the green stalk, though, even though, because they have like the supports that go all the way around,
Yeah,
and
right.
even they have the individual trellises now that can go
Yeah, I
in
like
the
that too.
individual pockets. So even with either the full round plant support, or maybe a combination of the plant support plus the trellis,
Hmm.
do you
That's true.
what varieties do you think might, maybe any kind of,
The
maybe
other one,
a determinate variety,
yeah,
maybe.
the other one I did
Maybe.
was called Geranium Kiss, and I like that flavor of that. It's a little bit, it's more of like a slightly bigger than a tiny cherry. It's a little bit bigger of a fruit, but
Mhm.
it had decent flavor. Yeah,
Okay.
Geranium Kiss.
It stayed small enough to do in the greens.
Yeah, it stayed squat. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's good to know. I know you didn't want to do that tasting, but I appreciated that you did it. You were so reluctant to, but
It
I
was
was
It's
so many
glad.
varieties though.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. Well, ladies, we are coming up on the hour. And I just want to just give a plug and a shout out to Joy and for Robin for
thanks.
joining us.
Yeah.
Today we definitely appreciate you being here. um Today's topic again, it was, whether or not to either do a fall garden or just, just call it for spring. Either way is good. Either way is good, depends on what you want to do as a gardener. But we gave a couple just ideas of why you would do a fall garden, and a couple reasons why you would, just rest. You rest, the garden rest, and just prepare for 2026. Like I said, thank you so much, Robin, for joining us today. We definitely appreciate you. If you want to type in your social media and all that kind of stuff, please feel free to do that. I'm going to put you backstage right now. So Joy and I are going to wrap this up. Thank you, Nikki, so much for all of your comments and stuff like that. Now, I hope you have a picture of that lunch on your channel, because I'm gonna be looking for it. Hopefully, Robin, you got some ideas of, maybe some tomato varieties that you can try. um and y'all, the last point, and this is very timely, is burnout as a reason why to just let the garden rest in the fall and pick it up next spring. Is just burnout. Now, we talked about burnout, between the spring and the summer. So I can imagine, even if you were rejuvenated, and you got your second wind, trying to get that third wind, even though the fall gardening may be less complicated or easier in many ways, it still takes time, effort, and energy. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's just burnout is a reason why you wouldn't do a fall garden. And then you just tidy things up, put a bow on top, and just get ready for the spring. And I was there, y'all. I was almost there until I was almost there. I am going to plant these, but I'm thinking maybe I'll put them in a 5-gallon bucket. That
Mhm.
way I don't
Yeah.
feel compelled to like plant out a whole fall garden. But
Right.
now I want the broccoli, I want the kale, I want the now I want everything. So we're gonna see how that goes. But I have my contact information has been scrolling below. I'm only on YouTube, so if you see me somewhere else, y'all, that's somebody done did something. I'm only on YouTube. My Pinterest account, y'all, it is just don't. It's I can't. Joy's information is now scrolling below, and hopefully Robin has a few moments, if she didn't already put just put her contact information. And
Okay.
Nikki, also, please, if you want to put your put your contact information, put how people can reach out to you, because people are going to come back and watch the replay. And everybody who was in the room, whether you came up or not, I definitely, share your contact information, because depending on what you're growing, what your preferences are, where you live, what zone you're in, Florida zone 10 is not the same as California zone 10, but
Mhm.
we can still learn from each other. So please feel free to put your contact information in the chat. And Joy, as usual, I'm gonna let you take us out.
All right. Thank you all for being here, the replayers. I will see you all soon in another video. So we'll have some more. Bye.
Bye.